think that's right. Welcome back to the Comic Con Podcast, Season 2, Episode 26. It's your boy Nemesis Prime hosting this bad boy. And of course, I got my man Manuel. What's going on, Zach?
What's up, everybody? Just enjoying the summer weather. It's not too hot down here in El Paso. What's the weather there?
It's nice today. It was crummy and then nice. So got to jump in the pool today. It's not bad.
I have some pool issues. I had to have a guy come out today and take a look at it. So, first world problems.
It's funny that you don't know anything about your pool.
I don't.
You've owned your house for a few years, and we had this conversation. You and I sent you pictures of how I clean out my filter and what I use, and I'm basically at the pool store like every other week, and the guys know me. Like,
yeah, no, I don't know shit about my pool. In fact, this guy, like, when they come back out tomorrow, I'm like, I need to have them give me a moderate tutorial on how to work it and everything.
That's what, dude, believe me, that's how I did this when other things in my house, like when I first moved in, like our sprinkler system, I had no idea. I thought you just like opened up the valve and hit
let
on.
it go.
Yeah, no, that thing is like set for like specific days at like specific hours. It's just like, what? Yeah, so
well, the guy who came out today, though, only like he only speaks Spanish, and his boss was like, I was talking to him over the phone, who was kind of like translating. And I speak Spanish, but not my Spanish. Let's just say my Spanish isn't good enough to talk about pool stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty like specific Spanish. Like, I couldn't tell you how to say pool pump in Spanish or anything like that. So we'll see. Hopefully, maybe the boss guy will come out tomorrow and I can chat with him about it.
Nice.
Anyway, not the Comic-Con pool podcast.
Yeah, maybe we need to do an episode. Like, we should record like you in your pool and me in my pool. That's how we'll do one episode, like live on YouTube, like from our phone.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we appreciate everyone here, of course, where you can find us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Amazon, iTunes, and of course on YouTube as well. So let's get into a lot of stuff that we have to talk about today. We're doing some movies, some cartoon stuff. And of course, we're going to kick it with always. We have some community stuff. So got a question sent to our Gmail. Of course, you know where you can send it, the Comic-Con Podcast at gmail.com, or on our Instagram, right to the Comic-Con Podcast, or any of our Instagram accounts. So this is coming from our man, Lester D. Good morning, gentlemen. I really enjoyed your podcast, as it's one of the few ones I look forward to weekly. I particularly enjoyed the beginning of today's show on comic book selling, which we talked about last week. I've gotten back into collecting after I quit when the 90s bubble finally popped. My first question is around what price guide do you use for raw and graded books? Each app and eBay has huge discrepancies, which makes it hard to get an idea of real value, in my opinion. It really makes me hard to sell books, as a dealer and collectors all use different price guides. There is a second part to this question, so let's kind of pick apart this question first of all. So Lester, again, appreciate the email. And, we did talk about kind of the beginnings of selling and things to look for last week. This week, definitely it's tough. Like, between all the different apps, like you have Key Collector, you have CLZ. You could, of course, go on Cover Price's website. There's eBay. There's, what other apps? Obviously, the normal Overstreet price guide. What else am I missing? Anything else, Zach, that you could think of?
I mean, you could look at any of the, I guess you could see what's sold on like My Slabs and like Short Box and that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, I think you nailed the main ones. I think, in my opinion, I think we'll probably have a pretty same opinion here. There really is no right answer. It's kind of like, look at all of them and then evaluate that way, right? I mean, that's kind of how I do it. Like, pretty much I will use, I'll use Cover Price for sure. For sure, I use Cover Price always, because I just love the way it breaks down. It's just so easy and clean. So I'll go to Cover Price, and then I'll also look at Key Collector to see like kind of what's there. But that's not necessarily like up to date all the time, I don't feel like, and doesn't have all the books necessarily. And but then final, as selling, since I sell primarily on eBay, I will go look at the sold section. So I'll try to find the same book that I'm selling. I'll see what it's sold at, and I'll look at the dates of the most recent sales, and then kind of gauge from there, from all three. So it's almost like you have to triangulate, right? So what about you?
I agree. It's definitely tough. If you're an eBay seller, you're of course looking at eBay prices. If you're a shop, or even if you're just trying to sell on Instagram or on a website, I think the best way to look at it too is I love going into shops. And there's this one shop up in Connecticut, the Eye Opener, that's close to where the Three Men in the Basement guys live. And what he does is he actually uses Overstreet. And
Hmm.
it's great because the Overstreet, yeah, especially for key issues, like sometimes when I purchase books from him, it may be like from the Bronze, Copper, even Silver Age, and he'll just go directly from that guide. And I like seeing that because, he's giving it a grade. Like the price guide it breaks it down by grades like VG, fine, VF, near mint, and it gives you all different variations. And at least from there, it's a good starting point. You go on
Right.
eBay and it's just like because the book is whatever the book is, right? Like sometimes it's just because, all right, well, there's only two listed. So people are going to throw up some crazy, insane number, right?
Hmm.
But with the price guide, it's always good to have a better idea of where the prices should be. So I like the Overstreet guide. The only problem is, of course, it only comes out once a year. So
Right. It's not
it
up
could
to
come
date
out.
necessarily.
Yeah, it's good for, as soon as it comes out. But actually, to be honest, it's probably not good because things can change before it even gets published. But
Right. Right.
I like the price guide. I really like Overstreet. Of course, the one thing is, especially if you're going through it, you don't know variants. That's of course
Mhm.
like a big problem. Um, but
I think
go ahead.
with shops are tough too, man. Like you go in a shop and I mean, obviously this is totally dependent on the owner of the shop and how up to
Mhm.
date they are and how much they keep with it. But like, let's say you go in and you brought up a good example, variants, right? So it's like a hot variant, boom, and they throw it up and it's like this book's $45 right now, right? And it doesn't sell for like 3 or 4 months, and that book will stay on their wall for $45. And then you come back and you're like, hey, look, man, like I'd like to get this book that's been on this wall for 6 months for $45, but I don't want to pay $45 for it. Like that's a
Mhm.
bullshit. That's a bullshit price. And they don't really adjust it sometimes. So yeah, I don't know. It's there's no what's really tricky about the comic book market is there is no right answer. The right answer is how much are you willing to pay, or are people willing to pay for it?
Yeah.
And
And
who knows what that is.
how much do you want to let it go for?
Right.
Like if you're into it for nothing and you want to sell it for half of what you see on eBay, that's still money in your pocket. And I feel like, yeah, we talked about this last week. Whatever are you happy with? What type of
Hmm.
profit you're happy with? So
Right.
Um, great question. Second part, his follow-up, it's Star Wars, so I enjoy this. My other question is specific to Star Wars. I enjoy going into antique stores to dive in through for grails. I thought I found two on two different trips. The first was the 1939 New York World Fair comic with Superman and Sandman on the cover. The other was the 1977 Star Wars Whitman 35 cents variant. Both books ended up being reprints. The Star Wars one was easier to see at a look because obviously it's on the cover. The New York World Fair was not as easy as it was labeled on the inside. Each book was $25 when he bought it. So no big loss except the gain I thought I made. LOL. But what does that Star Wars really go for? It probably is rare in itself and was printed at the same time as the original book. New York World Fair was reprinted 35 years later. So I get the difference. Your thoughts? So it's definitely tough. The problem with the Star Wars one is like there are so many variants of the initial Star Wars run, right? So you have the regular Star Wars book, you have 35 cents one, you have second printing, you have third printing, you have you have the first print of the 35 cent, newsstand. And it's tough to tell. Like sometimes when you're just dive in long boxes, especially at like antique shops or even like flea markets, you really don't know which one you're picking up. So I would think it's really tough. But that one I think commends a little bit of a price because of how much Star Wars has increased over the years. Um, I think it's tougher with those older books. I remember when I just recently went to Three Men in the Basement comic swap. What was it, like a month or two ago?
Yeah.
There was
Sounds
a
about right.
book there. It was like a Wonder Woman book, and I swear that it was a golden age book, and it was only like $10. And I was with Aaron, Double A Comics, and we're standing next to each other. I'm like, there's no way this book is $10 as good as it looks, right? And I'm like looking, and then I go online. I'm like, well, this is the cover. I look at the back cover, and I'm like, it's the right back cover. But then when you looked into it and you saw it, it said published in like 1990s, like late 90s.
Mhm.
So it was tough to see, but I think the Star Wars one does have a commendable, price for the reprinting because of the fact that, Star Wars got hot again. So, I think it's now it's up to like $50, that second print Whitman variant. So what about you? You think would you ever go diving and finding those weird books?
I've never had any luck at the like the flea markets or the antique shops or whatever like that. But I mean, so I don't have a lot of experience in that aspect, but I do know like when I was younger, and I know I bought a couple like X-Men books that ended up being the Canadian price variant and I just wasn't paying attention, right? You're like, "Oh hell yeah, man, this book's worth a lot." And it's like the pence or whatever the hell it is, and
Yeah.
you're just like, God damn it, like years later when you get old enough and you realize, I guess.
Yeah, it's
So
definitely tough when you're looking at those books. But sometimes you know what it is. I remember back in the day when like Canadian variants weren't anything. Like
mhm.
you bought them and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool!" Like it's the first appearance, and then you realize that it was the Canadian price variant or pence variant, and those weren't worth as much as the normal like U.S. version. But now, as the times have changed, a lot more people are looking at that saying, "Oh, well, it's still a first appearance, or it's the first printing. It's just tougher to find." Like, I like finding those sometimes in the wild, like, randomly.
Right. And some people collect that stuff, like some people are really into those kind of things.
Yeah.
Not really me, but there's no shame in that.
Oh, yeah,
Obviously,
no, no.
everyone's got their own collecting habits,
Oh,
So
100%,
yeah.
100%. So, Lester, appreciate the question. Again, everybody, you can send us emails, comicconpodcast@gmail.com, or to our Instagram direct messaging, whether you're leaving voicemails, sending us articles, or questions like that. So let's kind of get right into some of the news. So let's kick it off with some movie news. I know Zach found a really interesting article, and I'm kind of excited to talk about this one. So, Zach, what did you find that's been posting all over the internet today on
Right.
Wednesday, June 29th, that I have not seen anything?
Oh man, it's crazy because I feel like I read it and then I saw it all on social media. So this is from comicbookresources.com. Howard Stern hot mic indicates the shock jock is involved in a Doctor Doom project. So according to this article, Howard Stern was taking a commercial break during his show or whatever. And on Twitter, the host talked about how he's doing a Doctor Doom project in the summer and has been coordinating his schedule with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige. Uh, Howard Stern goes on to say, and pardon my language, but this is Howard Stern, so you don't, you should expect this. He says, "I'm fucking miserable about it," Stern added, seemingly in reference to scheduling on the project. Um, he then revealed that he's talked to Robert Downey Jr. About how to get acting tips and who he might be, like how to navigate the acting world. Because if you've seen him in movies, he's not that great. So, anyway, what's interesting about this article is that Stern refers to it as a Doctor Doom project rather than one centered on the Fantastic Four. So, obviously, nothing is official at the moment on whether Doctor Doom or Fantastic Four. We know Fantastic Four is coming. But some of the other articles I saw were even hinting at, along the realms of a Disney Plus show starring just Doctor Doom. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting. We've kind of talked about Doctor Doom in terms of him joining the MCU previously, and yeah. So what do you think, Justin, about this?
I think it's bullshit. So Howard Stern, of course, on Sirius XM since COVID, he's a big scaredy cat with COVID.
Yeah. Oh
He
yeah. He was
he
at home. He had like
basically
a whole
yeah.
setup at home, right?
Yes, he
Yeah.
has not recorded from the Sirius XM studios in New York since March of 2020.
Mm,
So for him to come out and, hot mic and say or even say that he's gonna do anything like this is absolutely complete BS. Like there's no way that he's leaving his home to do some Marvel project. He has more money than he knows what to do with. There's no way that he needs to come out and do any type of acting.
right.
Like he's set who he is. Yeah, he does his the other show that he's on. What's it? America's Got Talent, right?
Yeah. Is he still doing that?
He used to be. I think
Right.
he used to be on, but again, like he doesn't come out of his house. He's fine. He's
So
living the luxury.
How does he do America's Got Talent if he doesn't leave his house?
I don't think he's doing it anymore.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, that's what he used to do, but I can't imagine him doing anything. So, sorry, I think this is a poo-poo article.
It could
I don't
be.
think this is happening.
It's also like one of those. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't care really either way, to be honest, on this thing. But it is one of those random articles, like where it's kind of like it's so out there in a way, like so random in terms of like who would have thought Howard Stern might be in a Marvel movie, and then he mistaken like at the same time, like sometimes stuff like this happens and people will let it slip to try to like boost their appeal to other people,
Mhm.
whatever. But like you said, he has so much money, he doesn't really care. I mean, who's Howard Stern? Howard Stern has pretty much reached as far as he's going to get on his reach, in my opinion. He's not like, if you aren't listening to Howard Stern at this point, you're probably not going to, because you know who he is, you know what he does, and you're not interested in it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, I don't know. It could be interesting. Did you know in this article, it also says that at one point there were rumors that he was considered to play Scarecrow in a sequel to Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin.
Oh, wow.
Did you ever
No.
hear that?
No, that's definitely a huge rumor.
Yeah. So obviously, there's no veracity of those claims, but they're talking about it in this article. So, you know, I don't know. Who knows? Obviously, he's not going to play Doctor Doom. That's for damn sure. But God, man, if Marvel makes a Doctor Doom solo series, it's going to be horrendous. Like we've talked about, I know I've talked about it ad nauseum about how Marvel ruins their villains by making them like anti-heroes. And
Mhm.
there's no way Marvel's going to do a show only about villains. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, people be like, "Oh, what about Thunderbolts?" Well, yeah, but they're still trying to be good. You know, so
Mhm.
they're never going to do a solo show about a villain and villainous takes. And Loki is not one either. So, right? I mean, what do you think?
Yeah. No, no, I agree. It's funny you brought up Loki because I just rewatched Loki, binged it probably about 2 weeks ago, and it was a lot better the second time around because I didn't have to worry about, all the speculation and
Mhm.
the hype around it. And yeah, Loki was cool in first Thor and Thor 2 and Avengers, but then yeah, then he kind of becomes like a good guy. It's like
Right.
trying to be the good guy, and that's never who Loki was in the comics. Like I don't
Well,
care
now he
what.
is. Now he is now as well. Like it's
Yeah,
just how
it's
that.
like but that's what it is. They had to change him to be closer to the movies, the comics, so people understand him. But yeah, he was
Right.
never like that. In
No.
any of the series, any of the events that they ever did, um, he was always evil. Like, and that's the way that villains should stay. But that's the problem. I mean, like you said, with the
Hmm.
Marvel mashup, is villains are never villains, complete to the end.
No, and then that's why they only stay around for one movie so far in the MCU. I mean, that's really all we've got is one shot villains. Minus Thanos, I guess, for a couple movies. So,
And Ronan, I guess, who briefly appeared in a second movie,
oh,
follow up.
and Ronan, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I don't really count that second movie. It's like that's like a cameo, pretty
yeah,
much. But
true. All right, so let's get on to some more news. This is coming over from comicbookmovie.com. This is posted, of course, today on June 29th. Madam Web rumored to be a completely different movie set in Sony's Spider-Man universe. So Madam Web has assembled an immersive female ensemble, and a new rumor suggests Sony Pictures might have a gander that simply storytelling not only about Cassandra Webb. So, of course, this week we had the American Horror Story star Emma Roberts has now been cast in the Madam Web movie, and we have quite a bit of women in this movie so far. You got
mhm,
Sydney Sweetie, you got Celeste O'Connor, Isabel Marcet, and of course Dakota Johnson playing Madam Web. Now we don't know which version. We don't know if it's the old Cassandra Webb or if we're going to get the Julia Carpenter version, or if even maybe one of these females is going to be Julia Carpenter. But aside from that, it's kind of looking. Fans are kind of thinking that this could be some sort of female-led team up, introducing the lights of Black Cat, Silver Sable, and Spider Woman. I think that would be very interesting. We definitely have not seen any of the really female characters from the Spider-Man universe. They've
mhm,
been constantly keep adding Venom and Carnage, and obviously the news of Craven being a pet friendly or animal friendly hunter now is going to be crazy. What that movie's going to be like, and of course, we have what we talked about earlier this year, the Bad Bunny. Another male-led character going to be in a movie, but there haven't been any females. So I
mhm.
really hope that this could be what fans are looking for, and it does come true. Let's see some more females take the lead in these movies and be from the Spider-Man universe. And I know you're a huge Spider-Man fan, Zach, so I know you really want to talk about this.
No, I mean, God, dude, I agree.
I feel like the
I totally,
sarcasm there.
yeah, I appreciated it. I I agree with like the female castings and like these characters like Silver Sable and Spider Woman are great. I don't think Madam Web's an interesting character, but I mean I've said it before. I will continue to say this till they prove me wrong. And if they do prove me wrong, I will eat my words. But I have no faith in the Spelunk universe. Like I just don't, dude. Like Carnage or Venom, horrible. Both movies, horrible. Um, we got Morbius. I didn't even get to see the end of Morbius. I only saw the 3/4 of the movie, and I still feel like satisfied on what I saw. It was not that great. It felt like the first iteration of comic book movies that we got back in like the early 2000s.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
the Craven stuff. I mean, once again, boom, once again, dude. Venom, or I mean, villains that are made into heroes. Craven is not a hero. Why are you doing a solo movie about Craven? Let's be honest. You're a massive Spider-Man fan, or not massive. Are you right? You are. You're a big
Spider
Spider-Man fan.
Gwen.
You're more Spider-Gwen fan, yeah. But Craven, how big of a character is Craven really in Spider-Man lore? Like, I mean, you got Craven's Last Hunt and like a few big stories. But even when he's part of like the Sinister Six and whatnot, he's like the
Mhm.
sixth member of that team. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's not the leader. Like Craven is not a massive character in Spider-Man lore. I know there's probably some Spider-Man people who are getting really pissed off at me for saying that, but I'm saying in terms of in relation to like guys like Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Shocker, Electro, all the people we saw in like No Way Home. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like all those characters, way bigger villains than Craven, in my opinion. So giving him a solo movie and then changing him as like a environmentally like poacher, anti-poacher guy. Like, I mean, come on, dude. It sounds stupid. It sounds
Mhm.
boring. So I don't know, dude. I hope you're right. I want to see more characters because I think that honestly, in my opinion, the Spelunk universe where it suffered, and I don't think that this is like should be the milestone, but obviously Marvel does really well in having like secondary and tertiary characters in there. So it is feeling like a shared universe.
Mhm.
But like Venom and Morbius didn't have anyone. It was just their guys pretty much. There was little cameos, but like still felt like I said, the early 2000s movies. Craven's gonna be the same way. Now, this movie with like Madam Web, if they do like what you're talking about and have Silver Sable and have these and actually have like storylines for these characters, could be really good. Might actually build that universe. But these stupid little solo movies, man, they suck.
Yeah, I really want to see what this is going to be brought about. And I guess, and a lot of people are obviously, especially in the movie world, we're really in that world of like, are we really getting burnt out with superhero movies? Like everyone gets the Marvel movie, everyone kind of gets the DC movie,
Mhm.
but we really don't get a lot of indie stuff. We get a lot of indie TV series because of the fact
Right.
that they have a beginning, middle, and end basically.
The
Like
format's better. Yeah.
yes, like superheroes is always ongoing, but have we kind of been burnt out on all these movies? But again, we want to see more female-led characters. We're seeing that obvious right now on Disney Plus, with the introductions of Kate Bishop, Ms. Marvel,
Mhm.
and Riri Williams coming later out
She
this
Hulk.
year. Yeah, She-Hulk's coming. So this is what I think Sony needs to do. I think they really need to bring more of those Spider-Man characters into this universe, whether it's like you said, the Spumunk
Spelunk.
yeah, the Spelunk universe, and just we want to see them. It's something that we've wanted for a very long time. Like a lot of Spider-Man fans and Spider-Man lore, Marvel fans. I think with all these women that are going to be in this movie, we have a
Mhm.
great chance of seeing someone other than just Madam Web show up, without a doubt. Like I don't think they're just going to be like, oh, her friend, like one of her girlfriends or a coworker.
Right.
Like come on.
Well, God, I hope so. Because I don't know how you make a whole movie about Madam Web. I just don't. But
Gonna be very odd.
yeah.
So, that's some of our TV or our movie news. Let's move on to some TV stuff. This is coming over from this kind of just dropped today on Instagram, YouTube, wherever you can watch it. But the Harley Quinn season 3 official trailer just came out today on June 29th. Now, we haven't seen Harley Quinn. Season 2 ended way back in 2020 during COVID. And it's just crazy the fact that you're like, oh wait, yeah, they did have a Harley Quinn show. So of course it arrived today, and not only do we have, of course, returning people like Clayface, Poison Ivy, Harley in there as well, King Shark, but James Gunn is making his DC animated debut. If you watch the trailer now, I think it's hilarious. I think the show was amazing, and I think it was very underrated the first 2 seasons. If you did not have the DC Universe app when it first came out, if you have a chance and you have HBO Max now, I highly recommend checking it out. I'm super excited. This comes out in August. They're kind of saying they haven't had the official drop, or no, July. It's actually at the end of July. That's when it drops, right at the end of the
Hmm.
month when we're going to be at Terrificon. But I mean, spoiler is obviously it's not even like spoiler, but it's so funny. Like Zach, you've seen it? Have you seen the trailer?
No, I haven't. I
Oh,
haven't watched any of the Harley Quinn animated.
all
I've
right.
heard good
So
things though.
it's funny, like at the end of the trailer, like there's things like Batman's in it, but Batman's very cordial. It's the one thing that makes it freaking hilarious is Harley and Poison Ivy go into the Court of Owls, like, and you've read the Court of Owls,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So they all go, and this is perfect because of last week's episode on the boys. They all go into this thing, and the Court of Owls is like, now time for the giant orgy, and you're just like, wait, what? So I think it's very interesting. I think it's funny. I cannot wait for season 3 of the Harley Quinn. You definitely got to check it out. I know you have HBO Max, so
Yeah. I will. I'll get to it. How many episodes are each season?
it's only like 8, maybe 9.
They're
They're
what,
not
like
that
30
it's not that
minutes?
long. Yeah, it's not long seasons, so you could definitely blow through it before, uh, the end of July or even at
Yeah.
least finish, season 1, get into season 2, but, I mean, I'm a big fan of Lake Bell, who plays Poison Ivy. I think charismatic actress chops, whatever you wanna say. She's hilarious, and then, of course, you got Ron Hughes, who plays King Shark, and he's just, um, I would have never thought to see King Shark as great as he was in the Harley Quinn show, and I feel like that's why they finally like put him on the Suicide Squad because it was like a completely different character.
Hmm. Yeah, he's great in Suicide Squad for sure.
He's definitely different than even the iterations they had on like the Flash, like when he was on the Flash for
Yeah,
a
right.
few episodes here and there. But it's going to be 10 episodes. Season 3 of Harley Quinn is dropping at the end of July on July 28th, of course, on HBO Max. And speaking of HBO Max, and we always talk reviews here. We give a lot of stuff to the Marvel, Disney Plus shows because obviously that's typically what's always out. Star Wars for both Zach and myself, but this kind of went around, kind of under the gun. The Young Justice season 4 Phantoms. It's unbelievable that this series is now 12 years old and it's only 4 seasons. Season
Right.
4 dropped at the end of in October of 2021, and it's a weekly. Obviously, they're weekly. They come out on HBO Max, which I like, which kind of spreads out the love, not dropping all 26 episodes. So the fact that it started in October and it just ended earlier this month is absolutely crazy. So season 4, completely different take on all the other seasons. It's kind of each 4 to 5 episodes has its own little story arc. The beginning episodes kind of deal with McGann, Ms. Martian, and Superboy and Beast Boy. Then we kind of get into Artemis and her sister Cheshire Cat. My favorite, of course, is the third arc, which kind of brings in Zatanna and kind of like more of the mystical side. Fourth is with Aqualad and what's going on with Atlantis. And then we also get Rocket, which is really odd because we really haven't seen a lot of Rocket in the Young Justice, even though that she's there. And by the end, it kind of pools all these characters and all these stories and intervenes and intertwines, I should say, by the end. And it's absolutely amazing. Like this final episode of season 4
Mhm.
is probably the best battle, like, I've seen in animation in a long time. Like, just all the Young Justice characters just, like, fighting, and I'm obviously not gonna spoil, like, who's in it and what's the main storyline, but the fact that in the beginning of this season, I really wasn't too fond of it. My biggest gripe is that and it was kind of annoying, is something happens in the beginning of the season, and Beast Boy kinda takes a turn, like, he goes into this whole depression thing, but I get it because we've talked about this stuff before, like when they had what was it, that Heroes in Crisis? Like, what do superheroes are
Right,
like
like
when things
PTSD,
happen?
right?
Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
PTSD thing. Like, and you really see that, and it kind of drags a lot. I feel like it drags more than it should because he's like pretty much depressed the whole season. Like he's taking pills, like he doesn't want to do anything. He's constantly sleeping, and they always like randomly will bring him up, but that's how he's brought up as just like a complete mess. And I felt like they dragged that story on like too long for him. But by the end of the season, man, of course, bringing back all like the original Young Justice team, like from season 1, like Aqualad, Artemis, who is now Tigress, Ms. Martian, Zatanna, Nightwing. Like I said, man, that last episode and the fact that it is 26 episodes, which is a nice, good, long time thing to watch.
Right.
Um, Absolutely amazing. So I'm excited because even what's his name? Greg Weisner, who is the producer of the show, who's been the producer of all 4 seasons, even said that this season had one of the most significant high numbers for HBO Max, and it even saw numbers that had more views this year than any other animated superhero series on any streaming service, and even beat out a couple of prestige live action superhero series.
Wow.
So I would say give it a shot if you have not checked out any of the Young Justice. I think my favorite season was probably season 2 with the whole Blue Beetle and
Yeah,
invasion.
it was really good.
There were so many characters that were introduced in that. But even this, like, they really go deep into the DC lore. And if you don't know it, it's fine. But sometimes when things happen, you're like, wow, I cannot believe they went there and they pulled this character out of like nowhere because they're like C and D level like heroes and even villains like show up. It's just like, okay, I like it.
Yeah, I watched I watched obviously the first and second season. I loved them when they were on like the Cartoon Network and everything. And
Yeah, it's
then
crazy. 12
eh,
years ago.
yeah, man. And then they obviously took that like 6-year hiatus, I think it was, before Outsiders season 3 came out. And I think I stopped. I watched the first half of Outsiders, which like I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
The first like I think it was like, yeah, like 13 episodes. And had a lot of like oh god, what were they called? What were the weird? It was like the weird characters, that like bug character and like
Oh, well, Forager.
yeah, like I was like, oh my gosh,
Well,
like
that's
I
like the
just
Outsiders because like Geoforce
right,
and
yeah, I wasn't really
technically,
feeling those
who is the
characters at all.
Outsiders?
And so then I never got back to I never finished season 3. But I've been like meaning to, oh, I should go back and rewatch season 3 and then power through and watch them all. But it's so good. I mean, they do it so well.
Yeah.
Um
And
it's a
you know what's
great
crazy?
show.
They still tease Darkseid, and they still have not brought him, like, to the front lines, and that's fine because I feel like Darkseid is more of, like, a player for,
Right.
like, the Justice League, but I will say that, like, the post-credit scene, which sometimes they do on this obviously, what happens is, like, when the episode's over, like, sometimes at the end of the episode, even while the credits are rolling, they kinda have, like, something in the background, and
Mhm.
you'll either hear things or people are talking, and it kinda is just, like, it's interesting, but, like, the end credit scene for season 4, if you see there's a certain DC movie that came out and a specific Batman, Superman storyline that they did, back in the mid-2000s, and that's where I'll leave it. Uh, it's pretty awesome how they're setting up a season 5. So
Yeah, I think one of the strongest points about the show is the fact that it's not like the Justice League characters don't play a huge role. You know what I
mhm,
mean? Like it's all like the sidekicks and then like you said, the minor characters, and yet it's still strong. And I feel like it's stuff like this, it's stuff like this show that should be like the template that DC should be using for their live action, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, these things are so successful. You can just jump into it. You
mhm.
don't always have to do Batman. You don't always have to do Superman and Wonder Woman. You can just have them pop in and out. Like Titan's success is the same thing, and this is the way to go, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, season 2, like, really brought Blue Beetle, like, to, like,
Right.
the
Yeah,
foreground. Like,
huge.
I
Yeah.
never really cared about Blue Beetle too much until, like, seeing him in season 2 and,
Mhm.
with Bart Allen, like, bringing him, from the future to the present. Like, that's what that whole season was about, was the whole invasion and his species, and I thought it was amazing. And, yeah, like, season 3 kinda had its hiccups, but, again, if you read DC lore and know who the outsiders are, you really get that history. But this season, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely can't wait to rewatch it because I feel like now that it's all the 26 episodes are out, I can finally go back and just, watch them on a better schedule because sometimes I would watch the episode and then of course I'd forget that like it comes out they were coming out every Thursday. So
Mhm.
I would forget and then 3 weeks would go by and then I'd have to watch like 3 in a row and I'd be like, "Oh, now I have to wait for like another episode." And then I would
Yeah.
forget like by the following week that the show is there. But now it's like I know that I could just go back and watch all 26 episodes like in a good like month span.
Cool. Sounds
So
good.
that is our TV and movie news for here. Let's kind of get on to some comic book news. Zach, I think you have an article of a first appearance coming out soon, right?
Yeah, so kind of ride the DC train here. We've got this also comes from comicbookresources.com. Red Canary, DC's latest legacy character, arrives in Dark Crisis. So, spoiler alert here, if you don't know about the Dark Crisis storyline that's going on, previously in Justice League, the whole Justice League minus Black Adam were killed. So, what we're seeing now is a shakeup of the DC universe and all new characters kind of coming, or not all new characters, sorry, like more younger generation legacy type characters showing up. Well, one of them, Red Canary, a new legacy character who seemingly has ties to Black Canary, will be introduced in DC's Dark Crisis #3. So Joshua Williamson, who's kind of heading the Dark Crisis stuff, is bringing Red Canary. You got to see the pictures of her. She looks very much like a Black Canary. There's also even the article talks about it as well. There's some Emiko vibes as well
Mhm.
from like you know sidekick to Oliver Queen, Green Arrow becoming Red Arrow. So real cool character. She looks badass. She looks just like Black Canary, except obviously red. And it'd be interesting to see how things go with her. Obviously, the Dark Crisis storyline is really following kind of the Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, trying to figure out what's going on with the Justice League and bringing them back, and then the new Justice League as well. So it'll be cool to see a new character show up. I'm kind of, I don't know though, man. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I'm excited to see this character, but I feel like they do things like this and then just these characters are just going to disappear again. You know what I mean? I don't feel like DC is good at keeping around new characters. What are your thoughts?
So, again, it is the introduction of a new character, but is it just a redesign of, like you said it, like who they say in the article,
Right.
like Amiko, because Amiko did come out during the 2011 series from the New 52 series, because then they even brought her into live action, like, and she did become Red Arrow. So maybe are they bringing it? Is she no longer going to kind of have that Red Arrow? She's going to be this new Red Canary, and
Right.
we've seen that before. Like, yeah, of course, since there's no Black Canary, let's bring on like a Red Canary, and she will be part of the DC comic book universe. And even eventually, when Black Canary comes back, at least we'll have this character, and maybe she'll be, she could join up with Young Justice. She could join Teen Titans.
Mhm.
So I think she has a decent following, and I guess we're gonna have to find out, once Dark Crisis 3 kind of unfolds and how the fans kind of resent to see how she is. Is she a new character, or is she an existing character taking on a new persona?
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I mean, because Dark Crisis 2 hasn't even came out yet. So,
Yeah. So
but
what is this coming out? You said Dark Crisis 3 comes out.
July. Yeah, July 10th. Oh, no,
Oh,
sorry. Final cutoff in July 10th. It comes out in August.
okay. So
Yeah.
August 2nd is the next Dark Crisis for
Yeah.
Dark Crisis 3. So yeah.
Yeah.
And again, if you want the variant cover that has her as like the design variant right on the cover, I think
Right.
of course people love cover appearances better than sometimes regulars, so that's the one to get. So check it out. It's over at cbr.com.
Mhm.
So, continuing with some comic book news and first appearances. So, we've done many different Spider Verses over the past few years: Edge of Spider Verse, Spider Geddon, Spider Verse itself, Spider Verse 2, Web Warriors, and all those. But the latest Edge of Spider Verse comic book series is coming. They're already talking about the first issue going to be having this Spider Rex, the first appearance of this dinosaur who looks like Devil Dinosaur, who's basically Spider Man. First appearance in that. But over at comicbookmovie.com, we're going to be meeting the first uh, Marvel LGBTQ Spider Man Web Weaver coming out from comic book writer Stephen Fox. So took to Twitter earlier today on June 29th to reveal the costume and showing him coming out in August from several different people. Of course, there's going to be tons of variants for this, and there's going to be tons of variants, of course, in Edge of Spider-Verse, like Night Spider, who's Felicia Hardy in another universe, and like I said, the Spider Rex. But interesting enough, Stephen Fox posted this, and I really enjoyed reading about this. He said, as a not so mild mannered fashion designer at Rand Dyke, Spider's powers gets his powers and shows us a very different kind of Spider Slayer. He also goes on to talk about in the not only in the article but on the post, something I realized immediately when conceiving Web Weaver is that he can't and shouldn't represent all gay men. No single character can. His furiously feminine identity is central to who he is, but it's not the story, which you can experience for yourself in September. And I really like that because I feel like both Zach and I talk about that all the time. Is that when you create a character or have that part of the character's persona, it shouldn't be the whole story. It should be
Right.
exactly about what it is. It should be about the experience that the reader is taking on in that story. What are your thoughts about this, man?
Yeah, I agree. Your character can be your character and can have whatever lifestyle choices it has, but make the story good. You know what I mean? Like, it can't just focus. Like, I'm not reading the comics, and some people are. I'm just saying, I'm personally not reading the comics to read about like love interests, whether it's straight, bi, trans, whatever. I don't
Mhm.
care. I'm not reading comic books for romance, man. That's not what that's not what I'm
You
here
can read
for.
those comic books. That's all it is. Like,
Right, exactly. So I think it's cool. I mean, I look, I don't collect Spider-Man. I don't collect the Spider-Verse stuff. So this isn't for me. Not even, and I'm not talking about the character. I probably won't read this book because I don't read this stuff. But it's for someone. And that's good, man. That's good. Like, it's good that it's out there for someone. Someone's going to be out there and might identify with this character, and maybe it'll bring them into comics. And I always think that's a plus. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the character does, the success, and whether it sticks around or not. Same problems with DC, man. Spider-Man, Marvel has the same problems DC has in my opinion. They bring in new characters like this, and then for like Spider-Verse or whatever, and then you never see them again for 5-6 years or something like that. So I mean, look at Spider-Punk right now, just kind of just now back. So
Yeah, but I feel like they're pushing him for
For the movie as
Across the
well.
Spider-Verse. Yeah,
Right.
I feel like him, and then I'm sure you're gonna see Spider-Man India because I feel like that's another thing. But they're bringing back some older characters who we haven't seen, like Aranya. Like Aranya is gonna be in the
Oh, cool.
series that we have not seen in quite a long time. She's been appearing
Right.
on some of the variant covers and even some of the regular variants or exclusive variants for Edge of Spider-Verse and some of the incentive variants. So it'd be interesting to see. And of course, bringing in like Penny Parker's back, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Gwen's, of course, there. I don't know about Miles, but that's what kind of synopsis is. And again, like I said, bringing in all these newer characters like a Craven version, a Black Cat version, the Spider Rex character. So, what we're going to see. But first appearance coming in Edge of Spider-Verse #9 for Web Weaver and coming out in September. So get out there and pre-order it if you want. I'm sure I'm going to be pre-ordering the series. I don't know if I'm going to go down that rabbit hole and getting all the variants because I feel like there's going to be way too many this time around. Like I was happy with like a 1 in 25 for the first Edge of Spider-Verse. That was enough.
Yeah.
So that's all of our articles for today. Let's kind of get into what are we currently reading here on the Comic-Con podcast. So, Zach, you want to go first? You want me to go?
Oh yeah, I'll go first. Let's see. What was I currently reading? So I have some good. So honorable mention. And I think I might have said it last week, but I've really this week I've been powering through and I've really been enjoying it. I'm rereading. I'm on a '90s Ghost Rider kick, starting with the Danny Ketch era, reading through those. Just now got to the books that are starting to deal with like when you get into like the Ghost Rider Blaze run, the Spirit of Vengeance, and all that stuff. So I'm really enjoying the '90s Ghost Rider, like going back down that and rereading it again since I don't know, God, 20 years maybe since the last time I read that. So that's my honorable mention. The books, though, my picks of the week. First off, I finally got to. Obviously, it's not super new this week, but I finally caught up on Nottingham issues 7 and 8, which such a great story. I mean, 1 through 5 was awesome, and then they kind of were like, hey, we're going to end it, and then they came back and said, hey, we'll do 5 more. And each issue is so much fun. I love Robin Hood lore, and the way they tell the story is just really, really cool. So if you're not checking out Nottingham by Mad Cave Comics or Mad Cave Studios, definitely check that out. It's so fun. But I think my pick of the week is going to be 7 Secrets by Tom Taylor. So 7 Secrets #18, Boom Studios. It's the last issue of the series. I've really enjoyed the series, and I've kind of been really surprised that there hasn't been more talk about it, to be honest with you. I always thought it was fun. Great idea from the beginning. In a nutshell, the story is about this like group of people who protect these 7 briefcases, and inside each briefcase is a secret. And the secrets can range from like powers to disasters to whatever. You don't know what they are. There's a holder and there's a keeper. So there's one person who holds on to it and one person who protects the holder. And it's this whole secret society that is protecting these 7 secrets of the world. And so through the 18 issues, you find out a lot about the characters. You obviously find out the secrets. And this last issue kind of rounded it all out, kind of solved all the mysteries and everything. And it was really cool. I enjoyed it. Really thought it was a fun run. And yeah, honestly, super surprised it didn't get a little bit more acclaim than it has. But so it's done now. If you haven't heard about it and you're hearing about it the first time, get out there and try to pick it up, read it online, buy the run. I'll actually be selling the run here shortly if you want it from me. But
I think
yeah, it's awesome.
In the beginning, it did. I know. It's from Boom, right? Boom Studios.
Right. Yeah. Boom Studios.
Like I remember, like that book went. That #1 went to like 5 printings, 4 or 5 printings. If I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken.
it did have a bunch of printings. I
Like
mean,
the
it also
first
took
5
a
issues
break
went.
for a while.
Yeah, that would think that's always the
That
tough
always
time.
kills it, man. I hate that shit.
But yeah, I think I have the first 8 issues. And now that you're telling me that it is done, I guess now I'm gonna have to pick up the remaining 10 or so issues that I'm missing because I definitely fell off that story. But I definitely had them. I definitely kept all like the incentive variants that if I found them for cheap and the later printings, which I always thought were cool. So I may have to go back and now pick it up. But it's good. 18 issues,
It's
in
a
and
good,
out.
concise story. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's right there where we always talk about that money room between like the 20, 25 issues right there. Like that, the money spot for a complete story.
Nice. What else you got?
That's it. That's it.
That's
I'm
it?
on to you. Oh, wait. We're still, what we haven't done? We haven't done garbage book of the week for a while, right?
Yeah.
Do I have any garbage books? Let me see real quick. What am I reading right now that is just, dude, okay. And I hope this isn't, this would be really bad if it's going to end up being your pick of the week.
No. I'm sure it's not because
Okay.
my 2 books are great.
Okay. So was one more. I just saw it again. One more honorable mention is, and I don't know if you were reading this. I don't remember if we've talked about it. Were you reading the Batman Catwoman 12 issue by Tom Taylor, Tom King? I can't
So,
remember.
yes and no. Like, I read the beginning story, and then I kinda dropped off, and I did read this week's issue.
Yeah, that was the
I did
end.
read the
Yeah,
12, yeah.
yeah. That was a really good run. I liked it. That with Phantasm and mixed up in
Mhm.
there, and thought it was cool. But anyway, I think my garbage pick of the week is unfortunately a book I feel like you picked as one of your picks of the week. Like last month is this Obi-Wan story sucks,
I
dude.
haven't read it. I didn't
Like,
read it, so
I thought the
fine.
first one sucked too. I'm not liking this Obi-Wan miniseries. I
Okay.
think it's kind of garbage. But
Alright.
that's my hot garbage of the week.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't read the Star Wars stuff. I know Darth Vader, Dr. Aphra, and
Yeah,
Obi-Wan are all new this week, so
and
they're
Han
just
and Chewie.
and the Han and Chewie, but that series I'm not even picking up. Like, I can't pick up everything. Like,
Oh
I just
no,
can't.
the
No,
Han and
I
Chewie is
just
actually pretty decent.
really well.
Yeah, I like the Han and Chewie
I just never
dynamic.
was a fan of them, so, like, for me to pick up, like, their series, like, even, like, the regular the Han Solo original
Mhm.
storyline, which was I liked it because of Mark Brooks doing the art. Chewbacca, the 5-issue mini, I never enjoyed reading that, so
It's got
I
some
don't know.
Greedo, which is fun, and kind of gives like
Yeah, yeah,
more,
you said that.
which is
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
was kind of cool.
Yeah, the original Han Solo book was good. I enjoyed that 5 issues, but
Yeah.
yeah, all right. I guess I'll have to read my Star Wars books for the week, and, I'll let you know once I take care of that. But for me, what am I currently reading? Honorable mention this week, Iron Cat #1 completely took me by surprise. I definitely didn't think that they were gonna go where they went with the character, so I'm glad it wasn't what it's so funny what everybody was specking on for this character is not what they did.
Give me some
So
background on Iron Cat. What is it? It's Hellcat
so
and Iron Man, right?
no, like, Iron Man just created a suit that kinda looks like a cat, and in, like, the Iron Man or Black Cat, one of the issues or one of her series, like her first series, she stole it, and then
Mhm.
she wore it. So that's, like, the first appearance of Iron Cat, like, that's what it was
Okay,
deemed, but
gotcha.
so in this, I don't wanna get into spoilers, but, if you read it, it's interesting and it's a different I'm glad they went with this in a different route. So, and I always like Felicia Hardy. I like she's a thief. She's kind of like Catwoman, and I
Mhm.
like Catwoman, so it's good to have like a Marvel counterpart, right, for Marvel Comics. So, um, and I have a big giant sideshow statue of her too. So,
That helps.
that's my honorable mention. But my other honorable mention, and I've talked about the series before, of course, Batman Beyond the White Knight. Sean Murphy just cannot do anything wrong with this series. Issue number 4 came out this week, of course, expanding on the universe that is his White Knight universe. This kind of, we get finally the older version of Joker's daughter slash Harley Quinn's uh, daughter as well. But and then we get the newer Robins in there from Duke Thomas. But man, they're really pushing all like the stuff from the Batman Beyond universe, like things that we seen back in like the late '90s when Batman Beyond came out. So that's just another one of my honorable mentions. And my pick of the week, man. If you are not reading this series, I think this is a very underrated series. And I don't know how many issues this story arc is going to go, but Deathstroke Inc. #10. I don't know.
Oh, I only read the tie-ins with like Shadow War,
Okay.
but I haven't read much of the rest of it.
So this new story arc, and even if you haven't picked up any of the other 9 issues, if you're not reading like you said, like the Shadow War tie-ins, it's a year one storyline. So we get to actually see like basically him becoming like who he is. So like this first issue or issue #10 is almost like watching like Logan get like the adamantium in him. Basically, like he's on like, it starts off with
Yeah,
him like on a surgical table and him getting injected with everything. And you kind of learn about it. You kind of learn about him having a family and obviously him being also a mercenary at the same time and him having to choose between the two. And then kind of how this issue ends and where it's going to lead. I don't know how many issues the story arc is going to go, but again, even if you don't have the rest of the series, you could pick up issue 10 and read it. If you're a Deathstroke fan, you absolutely have to pick up this issue and probably the next few issues until this story arc ends. So that's definitely
cool.
my pick of the week is Deathstroke Inc. #10.
Any garbage?
Not hot garbage. I didn't really there really wasn't anything that I read this week that I was like, eh.
Yeah.
Um
Oh, shout out though, because we missed it last week. You read Silver Coin though, finally, right?
Yes, Silver
That
Coin. I
Silver
love it.
Coin issue was awesome, right?
Yeah, James Tynion writing that.
Yeah, dude, that was creepy, man. That was really. I'm so glad you introduced me to that series. That's a really really awesome series. But we both
Yeah,
were like, man, that probably would have been our pick of the week last week, but neither one of us had
yeah.
read it last week. And when I read it, I was like, damn, dude, this is awesome.
They really that needs to get picked up options.
Yes, it needs to
I
be like a
need
Black Mirror type
yes.
show or something, you know?
Yeah. Our listeners, I'm telling you, boys and girls, we've been talking about this series for the longest time. If you have Silver Coin is probably my favorite series that I look forward to, especially on the indie side, without a doubt. Like
Yeah.
when it comes out every month, it's always kind of like it's always my go-to. Like I need to read it. And like last week when we recorded, and I was like, oh damn it, I didn't get a chance to read it yet.
Mhm.
Because yeah, that would have been my pick of the week. So
And it's so
and
good because it's like, it's an anthology. And sometimes when you get anthologies, you get like, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but you get like low level writers. It's like, hey, write this, this title that's successful. But this almost every writer is like a high end writer, bro. Like these are all like real good writers that are writing these anthologies. And um,
mhm.
I think if you like them, you're gonna love each issue they do. I think it's really, really good. They don't
Yeah,
get any scrubs to write.
no, Michael Walsh, who's the writer, I mean, he's been getting
Mhm.
great writers, like,
Yeah,
every
Snyder, Tinian,
yeah,
Rosenberg,
Chip Zdarsky was on
Chip
there,
Zdarsky.
Jeff Lemire was on there,
Yeah.
but, yeah, it's great that every issue again, you can read it in any order pretty much for the most part, um, yeah, everybody who's had a chance to write has done a great job. I really can't think like, I couldn't even rank them, like, the
Hey, I
11
can only
issues
pick
that
the
are out.
stories I like.
Yeah,
That's
like, it's
the
just so
truth.
tough to be like, "Oh, this was a bad story," because there really aren't any bad issues yet. Like, there's not
Right.
something that I'm like, "Ah, I didn't really feel that." I'm just like, every issue, I'm like, "Holy shit, like,
Yeah.
that's awesome."
There's definitely some that like stick with you a little bit more, but yeah, there's definitely hasn't been like a bad one. I'm looking at the trying to see like who all the writers are.
Yeah, Ram V was on there, I
Ram
think.
V, yeah.
Uh,
Ed Brisson,
yep,
Kelly
yeah,
Thompson. Um yeah, it's good, man. It's really good. It's
yeah.
really good.
So
But I
if
would
any
read it
again
from I would read it in order because there is like well, at least in the first 5 issues, there's a little bit of a theme in the first 5 issues that kind of
well, The Covenant has that
yeah,
two-parter, like, issue number 5, and I think issue number 9 or 10 has, like, the part 2 of
right.
The Covenant, so that kinda gives you, like, an origin of it. So, really, you could read those 2 issues
Mhm.
first and then kind of just skip
Yeah.
around in a way because they time jump in a way, right?
Right, for sure. Yeah, they
It's
go back
never
and forth
there's
and
that future issue, there's, kind of a colonial issue, there's all different
yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Highly recommend Silver Coin, again, one of my favorite series that's ongoing, and that's it for, us here at the podcast on this
Yep.
week's episode. I went really low for that one. Um, Anything going on this week, Zach? I think,
I think there's something kind of big going on this week. I think
um
we're gonna have like a little bit of well, why don't you talk about you've got a couple sales before the big event.
yes. So, of course, if you're listening to this early enough, and I always say early enough because I always have to make sure that when we drop this. So, of course, this drops on Friday morning. This Friday, if you're listening to this early enough, I have 2 sales planned on Friday morning. You have one at 10 o'clock, just kind of like a randomness Marvel DC. Go ahead and follow me on Whatnot, of course. Friday night, I have 25 slabs going at $25. So even if they go for 25 bucks, you are getting steals and deals over there. But then Saturday, well, actually,
Saturday.
before I talk about Saturday, next week, July the 6th, uh, is my 1 year anniversary on Whatnot. So I will be doing a free giveaway show on Wednesday, January 6th. So make sure you follow me on Whatnot for that because it's just going to be giveaways. But yes, this Saturday, July 2nd, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern, the Comic Con podcast is taking over Whatnot. What that means is I will be selling for an hour. Zach will be joining me on my live stream. And then after that hour is up, Zach will be going live and I will be joining Zach on his live stream on Whatnot. So make sure you're following both of us. Of course, that is in the descriptions of our profiles. You could also find it on the Comic Con podcast profile. Go ahead and just click on the link tree and it sends you right to all of our different links, our Instagrams, our whatnots. They're in there. Go ahead and follow that so you can make sure that you'll and then we'll probably be talking comic book stuff, right? Because I'm sure
Yeah.
there's gonna be more news that's gonna be dropping by the time this episode drops. So
It's gonna be a little like a bonus Comic Con podcast
yeah.
episode, a little bit on Whatnot. And selling some books, shooting the shit. I'm planning on doing a giveaway as well. I'll be giving away a slab for sure, depending on like haven't thought about the rules yet. Probably on like, buy so much you get an entry in the slab, and still trying to pick out the slab. We'll see. Got a couple good options though. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun, man. I'm actually looking forward to it.
Yeah, too bad we can't record though. That'd be really cool. I guess if you had OBS, I think there's a way like that you record it and like then we could
Yeah,
kind of post it as like a
like an
even not even the
bonus
video
episode.
side, just to have like the audio side because I mean I could record myself on here, but it wouldn't be a way to like record you where you would sound good. So
Yeah,
in the future we'll have to figure that out. I'm also looking into things of how to do certain things for the podcast soon. So
cool.
yep, that's it here at everybody from the Comic-Con podcast, Zach and myself, episode 26, season 2. We are halfway through the year. We have literally not missed a week.
Nailed
We
it.
will be taking that week off when Terrificon comes, but we'll probably be doing something special. So again, if anybody has ideas or want certain things for Terrificon, what you want to see, again, drop us a line either at the Comic-Con podcast on our Instagram or at the Comic-Con podcast at gmail.com. That's it, everybody. Peace out. See ya.